This video is about the foundation of the State of Israel. Israel declared independence in the year 1948. To understand the State of Israel as we have it today, you need to go back quite a bit, 2,000 years or more, but also you need to have a look at the development in the few decades and centuries before 1948. It is important to mention that we have Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister, and organizations preceding the State of Israel, for example, Yishuv, also involved or organizations preceding the Israel Defense Forces, like the Haganah. Of importance were the whole process were Palestinian organizations and the Arab League, and of course Britain as the mandatory power in Palestine. But now to the roots of the State of Israel, 2 millennia back. The Romans were ruling Palestine and oppressing the Jews. Of course, that led to war. The Romans prevailed, the Jews lost. A traumatic event was in the year 70, when the Romans destroyed the Second Temple in Jerusalem. But also the Romans pushed the Jews out of Palestine, and this was the start of the Jewish diaspora, mainly in Europe. Now have a look at the development in Europe. From the 9th century on, Jews were excluded and discriminated in most European societies because of their faith, because of their religion. That goes under the term anti-Judaism. This anti-Judaism, so discrimination motivated by religion, turned to a discrimination motivated by race, under the term anti-Semitism. In the 19th century, so Jews were still excluded from societies and discriminated. It should be mentioned here that this anti-Semitism was the ground on which the Holocaust in the 20th century could take place. However, during the 19th century, we also have the Jewish emancipation, which means Jews were more and more integrated, on slow, small steps, integrated into European societies. But the situation, all in all, was not great, and against this background, we have the Zionist Development. And you can't think of the Zionist Development as a well-organized and orchestrated process. It was more or less several development movements came together. And so from 1800 onwards, we have publications, discussions. Should we have a Jewish state? How should the Jewish state look? Where should we have one? And so on. Important date is then 29th of August, 1897. The World Zionist Organization was founded. So, as mentioned, there's still discrimination, especially at the end of the 19th century in Russia, and the pogroms taking place. So, Jews thought better to get out, and where else to go than to Palestine. And so, from the 1880s onwards, we have the Aliyot. Aliyah means ascent, and this context, the immigration of Jews into Palestine. But now, against the background of these immigrations, the events leading directly to the foundation of the State of Israel. The League of Nations gave Britain a mandate for Palestine, and the key aspect was to establish a national home for Jews, so establish a state for Jews in Palestine. The Yishuv, which means settlement, was recognized, especially the Jewish Agency, as the representatives of the Jews in mandatory Palestine, so that all things can get form, get structure. The Arabs or Palestinians living there were not quite happy. Firstly, they fought against Jews, conducting a few massacres. Then they fought against the Britons, but also has to be mentioned that in the 30s, a few groups, organizations, Jewish organizations, conducted terrorist acts especially against Britons. 1947, the United Nations issued a two-state solution, a Jewish state and a Palestinian state. Jewish agency said, very good, fine with us. The Arabs rejected it. And then when the British mandate ended, Israel declared independence and the State of Israel was born. Now, Israel could flourish in the future, but also we had at the same day Israel's independence, all Arab states, neighbors invaded or attacked Israel, and this is the start of the Arab-Israeli and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. That was the foundation of the State of Israel in 5.